to the Level Up and Live podcast, where we dive deep into the journeys of inspiring individuals who've turned adversity into opportunity. I'm your host, Sean Myers, joined by my co-host, Ewan Heinemeyer. And today, we're honored to have Micah Haarhoff with us. Micah, a beacon of ambition from Willis, Texas, embodies the essence of speed, massive action, and passion. At just 23, he's already accomplished big goals that inspire all generations. From a challenging childhood to the proud owner of Revolution Power Sports Sales, Micah's story is one of resilience, determination, and unwavering faith. Join us as we explore Micah's journey from humble beginnings to remarkable success and discover the secrets behind his unstoppable drive.
A lot of people say, well, I'm too young. I don't have enough experience. So how can I be successful? Who's going to listen to me? Who's going to want to do business with me? I want to have it all. I want to have the riches and making it look good. But I'm too young. So I'm just going to wait. I'm going to hold off. Going to go learn some more, which nothing wrong with learning. But that's a story that was just told. It's nothing but a story. There's no truth or fact. There's not even a real person. I just made that up, right? But that's a thought process we all have. I'm 50. I'm too old. I'm past it. There's no point anymore. There's not enough time left to succeed. I'm an old dog, can't learn new tricks. And so I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm always going to be doing. It's another story just told. So it's not real. We're about to tell you a true story, a real story of a 23-year-old millionaire business, difficult background, childhood growing up, and yet he somehow managed to build the life of his dreams, right? He's built the image in his mind. And today we're going to be digging into how he did it, because everything that he did was learnable. He learned everything. He taught himself, his experiences, all those things. Michael Haarhoff, welcome to the show. We know you personally, and this is going to be such a great episode. And this is just going to be a journey of how you did what you did. How are you a multimillionaire business owner at the age of 23? And what are the statistics there? Should have probably looked those up before we started. I'm going to go ahead and say it's a fraction of, it's not even a percent of people who've done what you've done. And I can't wait to get into this episode. We're so grateful for you coming on, and you're a beacon of light to let everybody know that are listening to the show that they can do what you've done if they do the steps that you took. And we're going to get into it, man. So grateful for you coming on. If you could just give us a little bit about yourself, tell us a little more details, we'd love to hear it.
Sure. Well, thank y'all for having me on. I think you're a little over on the words, not that great.
I forgot to mention he's very humble. So just
no. But now I'm Micah Haarhoff. I'm 23, live in Conroe, Texas. It's been a wild ride, I guess. I've been in the power sports industry for probably 10 years now.
What's the name of your business?
It's Revolution Power Sports.
Revolution Power Sports.
Yep. Awesome. Yep, in Conroe. I guess.
Take us through. So where you started, kind of your let's say your upbringing. Like, did you grow up in a business mindset household, or no? And so how did you get into that?
Yeah. So my dad's he was a public school teacher, actually. And so really the only entrepreneur business kind of people was my grandfather. He's big in real estate, that kind of thing. So I would see the two different things. I would go hang out with him and see, it's Tuesday at 3:00 and, he's out fishing or, whatever. And then I'd see my dad, he's over here working 100-hour weeks. And we're trying to, make ends meet. I'm the oldest of 8. So there's 10 of us, single income. We were homeschooled, that whole thing. And I just constantly, just in the back of my mind, there has to be a better way. I would, like I said, I've been in the power sports industry, my whole life, and I wanted a 4-wheeler. Well, how do you get one? Mowed yards for 2 years, saved up, and got one. And, I just had it in the back of my head. There has to be some better way than working 100 hours a week, because I'd want to go ride it. Dad's always busy. He's always working. We never saw him, that kind of thing. And I was like, well, I don't want this for me, my kids, my wife, not the wife. And it's not that 9 to 5 is bad for anybody. It's just just never resonated with me. You know, it's something I wanted to pursue, I guess. But yeah, so that's kind of, I guess, how I got into it. I saw my grandfather, saw, you know, everybody doing the 9 to 5 thing, complaining about it. It's all over the internet, you know, Monday grind, whatever. And it just never resonated with me. I've always been a problem solver, and I was like, well, I don't like this. How do we fix it? And I guess that's what kind of started that spark somewhat, just from a young age.
At what age did you start working, Micah?
12.
12 years of age. Have you always had a job?
Always had a job. Yeah. So I've always done like little side hustles and things like that. I was fixing lawnmowers, flipping lawnmowers, you know, I'd buy them, fix them, sell them. And I had almost every yard in our little neighborhood I'd mow, and, you know, just on a weekly, had a lawnmower and a trailer, and I'd drive around and, you know, door knock and whatever it took. And I just do odd jobs and, you know, whatever. But since about 12.
So you started working so you were working by yourself and for yourself, right?
Yes.
At what point did you get into ATVs and UTVs,
I think I was 14, maybe 15 when I apprenticed for another shop. And I literally just went and I was like, look, I want to learn the industry. I'll work for you for free. Worked there for probably a year, you know, and he paid me a little bit. I think I made like $8 an hour or something, you know. I was just there to learn. That was the only thing. And, you know, someone I respected, one of the biggest, you know, names in the industry, I guess, as far as engine building skills and, you know, the mechanical side of it. So learned a lot, did that. That was probably 14, 15, somewhere in that range. And they lived
Did you go into that knowing that that wasn't gonna be a means to an end? You were gonna come out, learn from somebody else?
Not at all. No, I literally went in there. I was like, this is cool. I can't afford to work on my stuff. I want to learn how to, you know, do it. And I never thought I'd be in the power sports industry. Like, I always loved it, but it was the whole, I guess, limited mindset. Well, this is a hobby. You got to have money to do this. And, you know, I got to go work a 9 to 5 so I can enjoy this on the weekends, you know, kind of thing. That's kind of how I always thought about it. And then
so there's multiple secrets in what you've just talked about, and I don't know if people have passed over or not, but everything that you've said, everything you've embodied, like the reasons, the actions you took, your mindset, the thoughts that you've had in your mind have led you to make a multi-million-dollar business by the age of 23. Multiple things. You saw a life that you didn't want, and you saw a life that you did. And we'll dig into that here in a sec.
Sure.
But you were very focused on what it was that you liked. You were a kid. You wanted a four-wheeler, and you saw what you wanted, and you went to go get it. I can really relate to that. You know, I grew up in Scotland, and now I was a poor boy in Scotland. Like, we weren't wealthy by any means. How did I make it all the way to the States? I wasn't a good student.
Sure.
How did I get to the States? I often question myself on how did that happen? I didn't have good grades and didn't have any money. So how am I going to America? It just doesn't happen, right? I saw something that I wanted, and I was a dog with a bone. I would not let go. I would just pursue what is the next step. And I hear that from you. Like, you wanted that four-wheeler, and then you went to work to go
to get it.
Make reality, right? Your imagination made it real. Do you remember that feeling? Like, what could you describe like that? You didn't want that life. Like, what did you see for yourself? What did you want out of that? Why did you want it?
I think a lot of it was like and just, you know, a lot of it was my grandpa just literally, I just saw like how he lived. Nothing was an option. I'd call him at, you know, 2:00 in the afternoon. Can I come to work with you? You know, whatever. It was consistently just trying to find people where I wanted to be, I guess. And, you know, even just from, and I don't really know what taught me it, but I'd find people I wanted to be like, and I just spent all my time with them. Like I had one neighbor who was an older guy, knew a lot, super smart guy, and I'd just hang out just all the time. You know, I'd go weed his garden just so I could, you know, hang out with him. And Same thing with, my grandpa. Would be 4:00. He'd drive 2 hours down here to come hang out or whatever. And just the time freedom he had blew my mind. I was like, there's no, I've never seen this.
Micah, you're that mindset right there. I want to stay on something for a second. We talk about the 5%, the top 5%, even the top 1% of the population, right? That mindset right there. You want to be the best, you'll hang out with the best.
Yeah.
You want to mimic, right? You want to be fit, go hang out with a fit person. You want to be rich, go hang out with a rich person. You want to be spiritually, internally spiritual, go hang out with a spiritual person.
Yeah.
Your mindset at that age is just mind-blowing to me because I wasn't thinking like that. What would be one tip for somebody listening to this, maybe in their teens or 20s or even 30s, 40s?
Yeah.
That's how, what is one thing that they could do to go surround themselves with somebody so they can mimic what they do? What would be one piece of advice you'd give them?
As far as surrounding people, I think a lot of it comes down to who you hang out with. And, typically you're in school, you're doing, partying on the weekends, the whole American dream, I guess. You just do all the things. When you're 21, you go, finish college or whatever and go get a 9 to 5. That's just kind of your deal. I would say, I've always tried to find people maybe 5 to 7 years older than me, maybe. And even y'all too, and that's kind of been, I guess, just people I respected or whatever. So you're in school, you don't even know what your career is. Start hanging out with people that are doing, maybe it's blue collar fields or whatever, hang out with them, see if you like it,
Do you ever think to yourself, Micah, what is the difference then between what you did and what everyone else is doing? Because you must think about this internally at some point, or I'm sure you have, but when you think, man, I did this, and when I look around, they're all doing that. Do you ever think to yourself, why am I different, or what are they doing that you're not? That if they did, they would have what you have or do what you do.
I think naturally it's just a hard road to go, and it's easy to follow everybody else, and it's hard to take a lot of action. We're talking, I guess fast forward a bunch of years, but we're talking 100-hour weeks. I'm coming home at 12 o'clock and getting up at 4 o'clock. And I still, I'm still working 80-hour weeks, now.
And why are you doing that? Why are you doing that?
Because I have a vision and I see it and I'm going after it. And I think that's probably, it's 9 o'clock on a Tuesday and I can be on a podcast. I'm still working a lot, but compared to 2 years ago, that wouldn't even be a reality. I'd be at work at 8:30 and I'm tied up till 5:30, And
would you say that vision, having that North Star in that vision, 2-part question. 1, how did you get that vision? What steps did you take to get that vision? And 2, would you say the obstacles, the challenges, the struggles become a lot less, a lower barrier, right? They're still there, but they're a lot easier to break through because you have that North Star?
Yeah. Okay. So your first question, where do you find the North Star or whatnot? I think what it is it's finding out, I guess your term, what your core values are. I'm looking for time freedom, money freedom. I want to be able to help people, and you can't do that tied to a 9 to 5. Not to the level I want to. So I think just having that, I've been married 4.5 years now. And for probably the first 2 years, we barely hung out. I was just on the grind, 9 to 10 or whatever. And 100-hour weeks in a relationship, especially the early stages, it doesn't work. And so I'm sitting here looking at this, and there's no long-term plan going the way we're going, and something's got to change basically. I don't know. I guess it comes down to massive action, really. I mean, you just gotta.
Well, it's come down to massive action in what's allowed you to have massive action, the
Yeah.
confidence, the energy, and doing it day after
Momentum.
day after day is because you have that vision, that North Star, right?
Yeah.
And what you want your life to look like, what the design that you want it to have.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, was it all rainbows and sunshines here in the last 24 months, 36 months when you first started your business?
Yeah.
What would you say the number one struggle that you've had in the last 3 years in building this business, and how have you overcome that struggle?
So going back 3 years, I was lead tech at another shop, and I was flipping bikes on the side. You know, I've always been flipping, buy low, sell high. It's constantly, you know, that whole thing. So it would be the same thing. I'd be tied to a 9 to 5. Well, then I'd come home and flip stuff and do this, and I'm driving to Oklahoma to be back at work by 7 the next morning or whatever. All with, like, I got that job with the sole purpose of, this is someone I respect. This is a, you know, shop I would like to have something similar one day. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to see how it runs, you know, what to do, what not to do. I learned a lot, what not to do. And I think it's having just a constant mindset of trying to learn. Like, yeah, there's been a lot of hard things, and I don't know that I'd go back and change it, because it's taught me so much over that period.
Does it feel like work, Micah? Does it feel like work to you, or does
Not
it?
at all. Not at all.
See that I think that's the difference right there. Someone hears 80-hour weeks. No, I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Well,
But you love it, man. You love it, and you know how do you love it so much? Like, how does someone get that? Like, what do they need to do to find that, to love it, to be able to keep that time?
And it's like Sean says, with having the, you know, you have your vision, you have your North Star. I'm changing, you know, my life, my wife's life. I've got, you know, 9 or 10 employees, all of their lives. You know, I want to change, make them better. I show up to work, it's not work. You know, there's stressful days. There's, you know, I mean, payroll weeks. You know, there's all sorts of, you know, hard things, I guess. But the vision outweighs the work. It's like y'all competing with the Haarhoffs or whatever. You're putting in a ton of work behind the deal for this one day or whatever. Nobody sees any of that, and it's a lot of work, and you don't feel like getting up at 4 a.m. But you have this end result. We're coming in this amount of time, and this is the steps you have to take to get there. You know, like, and I guess I kind of map it out. And when me and Sean first started coaching, he had me write out what I believe, what my goals are, what this and that. And, you know, that's probably where this North Star originated.
Could you walk us through that, Micah, real quick? Could you? So where
As
were
far
you
as the
before?
coaching?
Yeah, where were you before? Just a little picture before you saw Sean to get coached, and then what did you see there with Sean that made you go to him, and then what's
Sure.
happened since? Because I think it's such a huge key element. You already mentioned your grandfather as a mentor, and he taught you kind of that way that you could live, and you started doing that. But when you start doing that, well, what do you know? Like, how do you weren't taught business, especially on the power sports, right? And Sean has never done power sports business either, but he does know how to run business very structurally, very efficiently. Exactly. And he spends 30 minutes a week on his businesses,
I know,
you know.
it's unreal.
And so, yeah, take us through that before,
Yeah.
what about Sean, and then after?
I'm trying to remember, because I guess it's been a year or two probably, and but I was still working for that other shop when I first started coaching. So I'm flipping. I've got you know, I've got my LLC, I've got this, and I'm still working, you know, trying to get as much learning as possible. And, you know, I've already got everything like that. And I guess Isaac Miller is who actually got me into coaching, because I had never thought about it. I've always known, you want to be great, hang out with great people. You want to be an alcoholic, hang out with alcoholics. You know, it's like, who you hang around is who you become. So I've always been that, but it had never crossed my mind, I guess, that you could pay for something like that. And the ROI on anything, you know, just of that sort was just, I never heard of it. So Isaac's telling me, yeah, man, I'm doing all this coaching. It's made me a better person, you know, made me a better husband. I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is cool. I like this. What's the scoop or whatever? And so I guess he put us in contact. And I think at first it was like $50 a month or something. And I was like, oh man, I don't know. And, whatever. And I was like, Isaac's doing it. So-and-so's doing it. You look at shoot, I don't remember what, like Grant Cardone and like all the, big coaching, Andy Elliott, everybody with all these coaching programs. Like, well, if everybody else is doing it, I'm gonna give it a shot, and if it doesn't work, it's $50, whatever. And so it's got on there, and I think for the first probably 6 months, the biggest thing I was in for was accountability. I was like, I'm gonna tell Sean I'm gonna do this. He's gonna make sure that I actually do it, because otherwise, if you're not telling anybody your goals, you're not setting yourself up for success. And that's probably the biggest reason I'm here now, is because of the amount of accountability I've either bought or brought into my life. Whether it's telling my wife my goals, Sean, Isaac, whoever, joining the mastermind, that kind of thing. And so that was for my personal life. And then we brought it to the business side. I've got business coaching, I've got sales coaching, I've got this coaching. Now, I'm over here spending probably $100,000 a year on coaching. And
say that again. How much are you spending on coaching? Because there's
probably 100,000. Probably 100,000 between me, my company. A lot of my guys I pay for coaching for, on the sales side and whatnot. And
Micah, do you think you would be where you are today without coaching?
No, not at all. And I was thinking about it, a few days ago. I was like, I'm such a driven person, I guess. I probably would have figured it out, but I guarantee you cut the time in quarters, and that's really the biggest thing. Yeah, it's $100,000 a year, but it's saving me, $500,000 a year in the learning side of it,
Yeah, your business just had its biggest quarter of all time, and you're telling us in the mastermind group like this is happening, and it's just mind blowing. And I can see from an outside perspective, he's learned everything he's done. It's all skill based. He's had the hunger and the drive and the accountability to follow through. Because a lot of people have the same idea as you, no different at all. Human being, want that life, want to own their own thing, and just nothing happens.
But that's where the massive action comes in. And when I was writing my bio, I've never written a bio before, so I'm over here thinking all this, and I'm like, this, that's kind of interesting, And
yeah, it is.
And
what did you learn? What did you learn out of it?
Honestly, probably, I guess I kind of put the puzzle piece in where it's like the way to be successful, and I guess it depends on a speed thing, but like what I came up with was massive action really fast. And it's like some of the guys get frustrated every now and again. They're like, dude, you're going way too fast and whatever. And I've always moved really fast, but like my mindset behind it is, by the time you're done thinking about it, I've already made 4 or 5 mistakes and, figured out a better way. And
man, that's huge. That's huge right there. I think, man, you hit the nail on the head, because so many people are so afraid to fail. Yep. So they think, and it's very logical, right? They're like, well, I don't want to make a mistake, so let me think about it. Let me get more information. And then that takes a week.
And then they want more. Way when I opened it. When I opened the shop, I thought about it for like I was at that shop, and it was kind of one of those mutual, you're either going to fire me or I'm going to quit. Like it's just, I'm as high as we can go. There was no future, I guess. Like I was making the most of anybody there, highest position. And when I was thinking about like my company, I was like, I don't want any of my guys feeling capped, especially if I want to hire high performers. And, if anybody feels capped, then, at some point you get burned out. And, so that's kind of what I took away from that. But
well, here's the beautiful thing, man. Whether people do coaching or not, it doesn't matter to me, because sure, I'll just take more market share, right? Yeah. That's my mentality in business is I'll just take more market share, right? More customers for the business. But the people that do, hey, you got a competitive advantage, and that's what you've done, right? Yeah. In Montgomery County, over 600,000 people here, you're crushing it. right? And why are you doing that? It's because of everything that we just talked about the last 20 plus minutes and the things that you've implemented in your life.
Yeah. But
what is the massive? What does that massive action look like, Micah? Like because what Sean just said right there is you had to take that massive action, right? You're taking the coaching, but some people might even get that and they still might not do anything. And I think the accountability is huge. But what does that look like to people listening in so that they can be like, hey, I can do that. Okay, it's going to be hard because all things are hard. Not doing it's hard.
So I guess probably a little background is necessary. I've had 2 or 3 shops either with partners or, whatever. And never worked out. I didn't know how to communicate. I didn't know anything. There's completely, where the Bible says unequally yoked. That was 100% what it was. And that's why it didn't work. And but you take all of it. Don't be scared of failing. I guess I want to fail. The faster I fail, faster I can make the changes necessary, to succeed. And so, 3 failed shops, a lot of 9-to-5s. I learned so much from that. That's the only way. With one of my shops, I didn't pay myself for 2 years or something. When I opened this shop, I was like, I'm taking a paycheck day one. This is now a bill. This is as important as rent. And that, just things like that. Because typically, owners come last. That's just the very last thing. And I'm like, no, I'm making it first. If I'm gonna pour all my, life into this, I'm not gonna work 2 years for free. And
see, I think that's the separator, though, right? There's different philosophies and there's different fundamentals out there and beliefs, right? And so when I think of entrepreneurs, business people, and sales folks, you're right? They put in all this work, year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, but they don't have that North Star. Yeah. They don't have that vision, and they're the last to eat. They pick their head up in 3 years and go, divorce, kids don't like them. Yeah. I'm unhappy. Yeah. I'm unfulfilled. Haven't paid myself a dime, and they have nothing to show for it.
Yeah, and listen, that's what I heard from my boss, all my other coworkers. That was what I thought being a business owner was. Everybody says you can make your own schedule and all this and that. And I'm like, reality, yeah, you can. If you do it like Sean, yeah, you can. If you do it like 90% of everybody else, you can't. You are locked in 100-hour weeks, for the rest of your life. And, that's honestly where, because I would still be doing that if I didn't have Sean yelling in my ear, who, not how, E-Myth, this and that, all these other books, all this other homework, and it just, you don't know what you don't know.
Say that again.
You don't know. You don't know what you don't know. I had no idea who, not how is such a thing and how much time. Yeah, I spend, say 40,000 a year on my sales coaching. The amount of time that frees up from me having to do the coaching is unreal. I can, be over here running the business, creating the systems, processes, hiring the right people without having to spend, 10, 15, 20 hours a week on coaching my sales team, which I still do. But it's the who, not how thing. I was driving, picking units up, this and that. I hired a driver. All of a sudden that freed up in, 60 hours a week. Now that got replaced with adding a service side or whatever.
Feeling like when you because you were gonna have to pay someone, so now and this is the thing I think with a lot of business owners, well, I'm gonna have to pay that person, which means I'm gonna make less, and they're afraid of that moment. But it's a short-term pain, long-term pleasure, as opposed to the short-term pleasure, long-term pain. What did that take us through? That feeling of, okay, I'm making X, hire this guy, go make less, but I see the vision. It's an investment, a very powerful investment, because how can you be working on your business if you're in it? You can't do both.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
You can't initially, you kind of have to, right? But what was that experience like? How did you do that? Because I think a lot of business owners listening, it's the linchpin they're missing in there. It's that feeling inside. It's just a feeling. It's an emotion. They haven't thought it through, and so they pause. Like I said earlier, they don't take the massive action. And go for it. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, no, 100%. And that was a mindset I had to change, and I saw it by, I guess, taking baby steps, seeing the success from that, and then just diving all in. I've always been somewhat high risk. I'll take fairly high risks, for a high reward. And so I was looking at it, coaching, for example, I'm going to spend, maybe with the mastermind, $500, $1,000 a month, whatever. And we're going to see what it does. Same thing, with a driver. I was like, okay, so I can spend $2 a mile and I don't have to make the 8-hour drive or whatever. And I can be over here making another deal or, doing this or that or whatever. And I don't remember what book it was. It was one Sean told me to read, and it was basically the gist. It was 80% done by someone else is better than 100% done by you. Some variation of that.
Had you had an employee yet, or did you hire your first employee after you met Sean?
I had after I met Sean, I think.
Sean, can you talk us through that? That moment of, because you've gone through it too, hiring that first employee. Like, what's that experience like? And yeah, what was the conversation like? So for the listeners listening, any entrepreneurs, business owners hearing this, they're like, I need to do that. I can do that. And this is how, like, a strategic tip or process, like maybe the both of you can chip in on that.
Yeah. So most business owners, right, they get into business for, I would say 95% of business owners, they get into business because they got terminated, like myself, or they got tired of working for an employer like Micah, or for whatever other reason, right? And so what happens is we get into this business and we're like, oh, I'm going to do it all, right? Answer phone calls, emails, and sell,
clean the
marketing,
floor, clean the bathrooms.
Yep, do it all, right? Whether it's virtually or whether you got a storefront. And you can to a certain degree. You're going to pick your head up in 6 months, 12 months. And without that vision and North Star, with everything that we talk about and going through the steps, if you don't know that you're going to be replacing yourself, if you don't know that from day one, you're going to get a wake up call, right? It may be in a year. It may be in 10 years. You don't want it to be in 10 years. And what the difference between Micah and a lot of these other guys that have understood that fundamentally, understood that concept is like, okay, vision, North Star, I know what I need to do. This is the foundation, right? A solid foundation. And I know in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, whenever I can, I'm going to be replacing myself. Yeah. Right. And I'm going to hire an assistant. I'm going to hire a right-hand man. I'm going to hire somebody to come in for service, for sales, whatever it may be. They know that, right? Forward thinking, backwards planning.
I was just going to say
the only thing I did was Micah did all the work, right? I just guided him, right? Yeah. I just said, hey, this is what I did. And this is what I know that works. Right. And he did all the hard work. That's the thing. Yeah. That's the beautiful thing about Micah is he did the work, but I guided him and I gave him the confidence, the accountability, like you can do this. And then all it took, it was one hire, and then now he's got multiple.
Yeah. No, but it was literally like I would just look at it. Sean's over here telling me I spend 30 minutes a week on my insurance company, and I was like, I like this. This is cool. We're gonna hang out and see. So okay, so what are you doing to make that happen? What have you done? And it came down to people, processes, and systems. And I just took that, and that is how this entire company is ran. Like I'm looking for certain people. We're not just hiring anybody. Sean's built hiring plans. I've modified them, whatever, to actually work for me. But, people, systems, processes, you have the right systems, right processes, hire the right people to run them. That takes it away from you. Like I've got, and it's constant action. Like I had a technician that was showing, management skills of some sort. I was like, dude, I'm putting you in a management position. This is, you're doing great. And so I've moved like people from different positions all around, and you can't wait until they quit or get fed up because they're not happy right there. Right company, different role.
Here's an important question. Micah, do you think you would be where you are today in your business with multiple employees, multi-million-dollar business, and where you're going and where you're projected to go if you haven't grown as a leader yourself?
Not at all. Nope. And that's, I think, the first time we did the mastermind, and I think I was first in the hot seat or, the main topic. I'm pretty sure that was my talk, but I was like, I want to be the best leader I can.
Right there.
And what's crazy is you were already rolling with your business, right? And so you were leading. And what's the thing that you said you want to work on? Leadership. And you were one of the best leaders I've seen at 23 years old.
And
I hear how the conversations you're having with your guys, and I know how your guys are responding to you. These guys are right at the point of walking across glass for you, right? The employees that every business owner wants is the ones that will fight like it's theirs, right? And so you've done that. And yet what is the thing that you said that you still wanted more of? Leadership. Even though you're already a great leader, that's the thing about a good leader. They're continually trying to become better. They don't say, I'm a good leader, I'm done.
There's never going to be a cap. It's like Sean said. I was listening to one of your podcasts later. It's like there's no cap. You're consistently, it's like, what does love, love, and live mean? Consistently trying to be better. I'll be 50 years old still trying to learn how to, do something. Yes. And I lost where I was going with that, but
I liked it though.
But forward thinking, backwards planning. That's the key to it, and that's something Sean drilled into me. I remember where I was going with it. It was so example, employee comes to me with X amount of problems. My natural thing is go fix the problem. I'm a problem solver. So, you can't get that bolt out? Okay, well, I'm going to go get it out. And Sean drilled it into me, and it was, so now I've swapped it up. Dusty, give me 3 solutions. We're going to pick the best one. Or you go back out there, think of what you would do if you were me, and come back and tell me. And 90% of the time, they never come back. They go figure it out. And that's, you
learned that skill. You learned that as a leader, right? You didn't know that
100%.
Until you heard that, and now you implement it and use it daily with your people. And look at what your people are doing. Look at how they're responding. You're empowering them to make decisions. And what does that do for them? They believe they're doers. They're not helpless. Tell me what to do now. Tell me what to do now. You're like, no, I hired you to figure this out.
You tell me.
I wouldn't need you if I could do it myself. And I love what you said there. What's 3 options? Yeah. And then pick the best one.
It's the 3-to-1 rule.
I love that.
Give me 3 options and what your best solution is, or the best one out of that.
And that's it, to me. If you're a business owner and you're listening to this, even entrepreneur spirit and in sales, man, like what you're thinking that got you where you are today will not get you to where you want to be. I'll say that again. Your thinking that got you to where you are today in your teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s will not get you to where you want to be. So our thinking always has to be evolving, always has to be adapting. And leadership is a forever journey, right? And so you are the bottleneck in your business. And so, man, and the reason what I'm seeing from a third party standpoint is the reason you've been able to speed up all this is because you've grasped these fundamentals and these philosophies. And like Ewan said before the podcast is you are a beacon of hope, right? You're an inspiration. And that's why you're in that top 5% and going to design the day, the week, the month that you want to live. Are you going to face struggles and obstacles and heartaches and setbacks in the future? Yeah. Absolutely. But you're going to have the support. You're going to have the tools. You're going to have the resources. You're going to have the courage. You're going to have the belief. You're going to have the hope, right? And your experiences from what you've done, what you've applied, the leap of faith that you took 2 years ago. My question is to you, Micah. What would you tell your younger self if you 3 years ago, even 2 years ago, what would you have told him to do differently?
Yeah, let's say you're coaching him. Like, you just got a version of you, and what's that coaching thing you would hit him with?
Sure. I think one, I would say find really good people to hang around, because there's a time I didn't hang around with people I was trying to be like, and
says, how do I find them, Micah? How do I find them?
Sure. And I think a lot of it's asking questions too. Like I never knew how much of an entrepreneur my grandpa was, so I just started asking, well, how are you home on a Tuesday at 3:00? Or how can you have the boat? And stuff like that. And it just started kind of, I think just being intentional, really.
Let me say something.
Yeah.
The quality of your life will be based on the quality of the question. Let me repeat that. The quality of your life, what you just said, is proven to be the quality of the question. If I know people in my life that ask no questions, and I know the quality of their life, right? I used to be that guy that didn't ask questions. I thought I had the ego, the pride. I thought I knew it all. Well, if you look at my quality of life, it wasn't so great.
Yeah.
And the reason it is where today is because I've dropped the pride, dropped the ego, said I don't have all the answers. I come up with the quality of questions, especially now with there's ChatGPT, Google, and all these other things. Like, there's no excuses.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it would be that, and then you got to find that North Star somehow. And that was, I spent, I don't remember how long after Sean gave me a sheet to fill out with like, what's your goals? Where do you want to be in 5 years? I spent probably a solid 2 weeks trying to figure that out. I had no idea. I just I like the power sports industry. I like money, and I want to make a lot of it. And but I didn't know where we were going.
You remember that
2
phone
weeks?
call?
Why did it take you so long? Like,
you
how
remember
did
that phone call?
Hone in eventually on what it was? How did you do that?
Well, so back to what Sean's saying. Sean, we had one call. It was a real good call. He was like, you either got to focus on building yourself or your company. And if you build, we can spend every coaching call building your company. We can get your revenue up, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to go anywhere unless you change as a person. Your leadership, this, that, whatever. And, it was probably because I'm so like, we need to make $100,000 by next week. All right, we're going to make $100,000 by next week. And it's all the I had to, kick myself a little bit, like, okay, well, I need to be a better leader so we can actually do this. And, we're going to spend the next 6 months building myself. And, maybe in a year, the company revenue is going to show based on what I did myself. And that's exactly what happened. And, because otherwise it'd be me and one or two other guys. Because I love
that you see the difference there. And Sean said earlier, you are like any business owner, entrepreneur listening to this, you are the bottleneck. Forget business, 100%. Relationships, everything. We're all the own bottleneck to our own problems, right? Yeah. Like we said it earlier on the podcast, we recorded it earlier this morning. And your mindset, your beliefs, like whatever the situation that you have in your life right now, if you don't like it or if you love it, but if you really don't like it, you're the reason you don't like it.
You're the reason.
And people think it's something out here, it's external. No, it's something that you are been doing, and this has led you to where you are. And that hurts to hear, but it's also awesome to accept, because then whatever you did to get there, it's literally just doing other things that will get you out of it, right?
Yeah.
And having your mindset. And when I hear like being a third party, listening into what y'all's conversation was, when we say North Star, you could really, I like to, in my mind, that means focus. Like whatever you get, if you focus on it and you're so laser focused on what you've wanted, and Sean really helped clarify the focus and how to get it there. So it was really like, if you're focused on Facebook all day long, or you're focused on playing games or doing that, you're going to get more of that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't lead to where you want to go, but you are focused on your goal.
I think you can't be scared of changing. Like you have to change. And I went into it, like, if I make these changes, I'm probably going to lose these friends. I'm probably, it was a lot of, what do you want? What does it look like 5 years down the road? Do you want these friends in your life? Do you, where are you going? And, it just comes down to massive action, I guess,
Yeah, 100%.
Well, Micah, man, we wrap things up, brother. I can't believe we're already at our time limit, dude.
Yeah, that flew.
We're going to have you back on, dude, because you just did a 7-figure quarter, not year, 7-figure plus quarter, which is just unbelievably amazing. You're 23 years old, 10 employees, you got a beautiful wife that you love, and you get to spend time and do whatever you want whenever you want. And you're just 23, you're just beginning, and everything you've done, you've learned. Anyone listening to this, they can do what you've done, Micah, right? Like if they do what you did. And so this is a beacon of hope that you've shown, and we just want to thank you, man, for doing what you've done.
Yeah.
And being the person that's done it, because now other people get to do it too.
I straight up couldn't do it without, y'all too. And, just all the people I've surrounded myself with, it's not me. It's everybody else.
Humble. What I say. I love it.
Love it, brother.
23.
Well, we appreciate you being here today, man. Thanks for saying yes. Appreciate your time, energy, and effort. I know you have impacted thousands of people listening to this, man. It's going to hit. It's going to land.
I hope so.
You've been an inspiration, man. And I would say, hey, when I get older, I want to be just like you. But
I'm hoping all
I'm trying to be like y'all.
You're such an inspiration, man. We learn from you just like you learn from us. So iron sharpens iron. Two final questions, brother. How can our listeners and audience support you, man?
Man, follow the pages, there's, I'm here to help. If y'all want, reach out to me. If y'all are younger, trying to got some kind of entrepreneur bug in you, call me.
You want to put your number on the we've had another guest do that.
Yeah, dude, 936-206-4188. Call me, text me, whatever.
Yes.
Dude, you're going to be getting phone calls for the next 50 years, bro.
Perfect.
We'll put those links in the show notes too, where our listeners and audience can support you. Second and final question, Micah, what does level up and live mean to you, brother?
To me personally, it's consistently following the North Star. You're consistently trying to be the best version of yourself. You might be 80 years old. Keep going. And don't ever get stagnant.
Beautiful,
man.
Love it. We'll be in the call by saying level up and live.
Level up and live, Micah.
Baby.
Let's go.
Man.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Level Up and Live podcast. A huge thank you to our guest, Micah, for spending the time, energy, and effort with us today. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more inspiring stories like Micah. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. And don't forget to share with a friend. Until next time, keep leveling up and living your best life. Level up and live.